All right, welcome, Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan, here with my double plus good friend, Keith. What's up, buddy?
And I'm here with Dylan, my O'Brien.
Oh, what? I don't know if that's good, or it depends on what part of the story, I guess. Here at the Buddy Book Club, we're breaking down some bestsellers, and this week we'll be discussing a literary classic, 1984 by George Orwell. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to read, reach out to us on any past episodes. Visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs on X, Instagram. That's Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Download, subscribe, 5-star review, please, and thanks. Keith, 4.2 on Goodreads. I was kind of surprised by that.
I think when you look at a lot of the classics, though, the Goodreads will have 4.0s or under, usually. I feel like So this is actually probably a little bit higher.
It's just interesting because if you were to do the same with cinema on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb or something like that, it just doesn't work like that. No matter what movie classic you're looking at, it's going to be a 95. You know what I mean?
If you're the person that's going to review a movie, then you're probably going to be pretty artistic, and so you kind of want to go along with what other people are saying is what.
Yeah, if you're going in to review movies, especially to like jack up your Rotten Tomatoes, like the amount of reviews you have, you can't go back and watch The Godfather and be like 5, didn't care for it.
Wait, 5 out of 5 or 5 out of
5 out of 100?
Okay, yeah.
You know, so Keith, let's get into some stock up, stock down for 1984. What do you got for stock up?
Stock up being ignorant and happy.
Oh, like the Proles.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway from this book isn't about power dynamic, government abuse. It's really just being a Prole is the way to be in life. Sure, they're uneducated and impoverished. They don't really know what's going on, but that's great. Ignorance is bliss. Knowing that you're getting screwed over is a lot worse than not knowing you're getting screwed over. The Proles, their life consists of, and he pities them, hanging out at bars, watching sports, being entertained by like
porn.
Yeah, general entertainment, sure. They have a lot of friends. They have a lot of big families. That's a pretty good life, no? Like they seem way happier as in general. Like sure, they don't know the political state of the country, and sure they're like just rooting for their side in the war, and the enemy changes every other week. But who cares? They're having a good life, you know. It's kind of like in The Matrix, where the guy's like, you know what? I want to go back into the Matrix.
Yeah.
If I'm Winston, I want to become a Prole. I'm miserable. Everything's terrible. I know I'm gonna be killed someday for my views, and it's just a matter of time. Why would you want that? It doesn't make any sense. So give me being dumb, fat, and happy, and not that I'm already not those things, but let me double down and say I want to be more now.
You definitely wouldn't be fat. That's for sure. I don't think there are many fat Proles.
In the new reality, it would be they're eating fast food. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't predict fast food was coming down the line, but that's essentially, they'd be just eating super unhealthy food instead, and like cheap, unhealthy food instead of real food, essentially.
They were getting beer, though. When he met with that old Prole guy at the bar, wasn't he getting a beer? And he's like, oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, they're ripping beers. Yeah,
it's interesting that the government, the Proles is also like short for the proletariat, which is like the working class. So I think the idea behind the book is that, not like the whole idea, but an idea, is that they don't really care so much, the government doesn't care so much, the inner party or whatever, doesn't care so much about the Proles, because rebellions start from the middle class. So that's why all of this coming down on you and conformity is focused on the outer party, as opposed to the Proles, who they just keep subdued with booze and
bread and circus.
Booze and porn, yeah. But yeah, they got families. You know, you get to pick who you want to be with. You can have kids and like just do your thing. And if everyone around you is in the same shittiness of a situation, it feels less shitty. But I couldn't agree with you more that once you know you're being screwed over is way worse than just like being screwed over.
Yeah.
Because then like you just screwed over and you have to live with it. So my first stock up was just taking a minute to realize how good we have it. And
okay, nice.
Yeah. When Julia and Winston are hanging out, at one point she brings Winston some like sugar, coffee, bread, and jam. And the coffee has to be like triple bagged. It's like you're a teenager trying to bring weed into the house kind of thing. It's like you got to put 4 bags on it, a roll of Bounce, and then stuff it in a toilet paper roll and put in the cryovac it, just so that no one smells it. Because the coffee, it's like if someone smells coffee, they're going to jump you. And the amount of joy that having like sugar and milk and coffee together with then a piece of bread and some real jam, has for, on like the effect that has on them during their date, it's like insane. It's like I can't even try to equate it to what it would be here. It'd be like, the perfect day you would have, which we've talked about in previous pods. But that's just standard. I'll throw a little maple syrup in the coffee. Why sugar? Go nicer. Throw a little
Caramel.
maple syrup. Caramel sauce. Yeah. You're back to it. Yeah. Bread, it costs literally nothing. You can go to the store and get a piece of white bread for literally nothing. So we were, lamenting about things right before we got on, or rather I was. And it's like, shit, how good do we have it? Like all of this stuff. If you were to ask the average or median person from any decade prior to this, which would you rather have? They'd be like, oh, whatever you got. Whatever you got sounds better.
Yeah.
So, and that's obviously, this is location based and whatnot. There are some people who I'm sure are struggling for real. So I do understand that, but at the same time, just in general, we got it pretty good. Time to enjoy it.
Well, also, this isn't like the fantasy part of the crazy part of the book, because when the book was written, they had gone through
49, I think.
The Great Depression, World War I, then World War II. So they had 30 years of just absolute terribleness, and that they weren't, sugar and bread and all those things were valued much higher than we have today. Like, this isn't some sort of like mystery. And then obviously before that, then you get to the 1800s, and it's like, none of that stuff was like commodity back then either. So we're just super spoiled.
Yeah. And it's hard because whenever you do, then you feel like you're a dick for enjoying that. It's like, oh, other people don't have it. Why am I enjoying this? But just whatever you got, just take a minute. Just take a minute and enjoy it. What else you got for stock up?
Doublethink, stock up.
Oh, okay.
I've been doing this for years, D-Man. For years. I never really had a name for it, but this book really did spell it out. And I can list off a few examples for you. Now, these examples took me a long time because the whole concept of doublethink is very hard to wrap your mind around.
Can you explain the concept of doublethink?
It's basically like carrying two ideas at once that are the exact opposite. So I think the example they use is war is peace. So like those are two exact opposite things. But the way they explain it is like, well, if you're always at war, then that creates peace because you're not at war. I don't know. It's very hard to understand. But
sure, it's to know and not know. Yeah.
Let me jump into the next couple of examples. First one is it's all mental. I mean, I say this is one of my biggest sayings.
Yeah, that is one of your biggest sayings.
But the whole concept is that it's all in your mind. But by stating that it's all in your mind, you're literally saying it's not physical, it's a mental issue. So you're saying in your mind is the issue, but at the same time, your mind isn't the issue. So you see what I'm saying? It's like two divergent thoughts at once.
Like golf. We're talking about golf. It's like, oh, golf is a mental game, but it's a very physical game. Like you have to actually do something with your hands. It'd be hard if you had no arms and no legs to swing a golf club.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's two things. So it is all mental, but it's also not all mental. So it's to both those things. I read the audiobook.
Oh,
yeah.
Very good.
Yep, which we do.
Yeah.
We listen to audiobooks, but we say we read them. A lot of people argue with that, but I always have I have a whole blog on why reading or listening to audiobook is reading. So
buddybookclub.com.
I'll leave it there. Yep. Another one I used to always say is I'm bad at test taking. Unfortunately, this happened a lot because I was a B2C student in high school and in college, but and that was because I was a bad test taker, which basically was if I studied really, really hard and did really well, I was super proud of myself because I'm smart and knowledgeable. But if I studied really hard and did really bad, I think it was because the tests were bad. It wasn't me. So so it's basically both. You can either be you're really smart if you do well, but also it's rigged if you don't do well. So that's the two things in my mind. And then the last one, again, this one was hard to get across, but nice guys finish last. So I kind of agree with this statement, but at the same time, I think if you're trying to be nice, then you will finish last. If you are nice, you finish first. Does that make sense? Like, I think that there's this whole mentality that if you're trying to actively be nice and you're just not being nice, if you're like keeping score, then you're going to finish last. But if you're not keeping score and you're kind of just, hey, this is why I want to do this because I want to do it. It's for me. It's almost selfishly. I'm being nice for a selfish reason.
Yeah.
Then you actually finish first. That makes sense? So there's like, it's both those things.
There's kind of like a whole thing in the latest season of Shrinking about this.
Really?
Yeah. Because like one of the guys, he's a nice guy, but he opened this like food truck, but now he's getting a job at a nice restaurant, and the guy who works for him is pretty much going to be unemployed because he has to close his truck to go work for this restaurant. So he's like, what do I do? And someone's like, be selfish, because like this is for you. Like you gotta be selfish and take the job.
Yeah, can't you just sell the food truck to the guy that's working?
There was definitely some holes in there. Like, is the guy good enough? It's a food truck. Just make sandwiches. Like, continue making sandwiches. Now you are leasing this food truck from me, and I'm gonna go do a different job. Yeah, definitely some holes. It's a 30-minute TV show. There's lots of holes. But
yeah, doublethink, stock up.
I was thinking about nice guys. What about Bill Gates? Where does he fit in there?
Is he a nice guy?
Well, that's the question. You know,
Isn't he on a few lists?
Yeah, but you know, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they've done a lot. But then he's having affairs and he's on lists. So
I think charity is the biggest scam there is going. I don't believe in it.
Quick stock up. War as a distraction. There was a lot of conversation about these.
Can't imagine that.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversation about these lists going on before, probably a couple months ago. Now we're just talking about gas prices. So stock up to war as a distraction because it works. 1984 predicted it, and it will continue to work.
I did have an opener. I was going to say that we love fiction and fantasy books because it takes us out of this world. It's so unrealistic. And I was like, can you even imagine, D-Man? Can you even imagine a world where endless wars occur and there's no justification for them and there's a cult of personality around politicians and there's a huge disparity between classes and there's facts being made up and interpretations and everything. Yeah. And good guys are changing to bad guys and bad guys change to good guys constantly. It's all too unrealistic, D-Man. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So I'm glad we read the book.
Well, I'll follow that up with stock up to the spread of misinformation / rewriting history. You know, it's Winston's job in the Ministry of Truth is to basically go back into past news articles and change people's names, take them out if, you know, they're now outside the party or, you know, they're whatever, they've been caught by the thought police and they're I can't remember what the word is. There's a word for it that they use. Unpersoned. That's what it is. Unpersoned. If they're now an unperson or something like that. And it's fascinating. Supposedly this was done in like Stalin's Soviet Union, which is where he got a lot of this stuff is based off of. So yeah, I guess Stalin did it, and it's an interesting job. And you'd think when you're like George Orwell is writing this that, oh, you know, you could see how in the future newspapers you could just do that. But now with the internet, obviously he had no idea what the internet was, that you can't go back and take things out. You know, there's always a Wikipedia editor who's going in there if you try to mess with it and putting back in whatever the truth is. The funny thing that is unpredicted, but it gets us to the same place, is the way that now there's so much information that you can just say the opposite thing and now both things are out there. It's double talk right there and it makes you do double think because it's like the same and opposite things are there. So now there's the truth and there's the opposite of the truth. And who even knows, especially when those we look to and like our leaders and those in power say both things, you know, based on, you know, how the wind's blowing politically or otherwise. So it's funny how now we have so much information as opposed to like, oh, you just got to go back and change this news article, that you can still rewrite history just by spreading misinformation. It's how these psychopath like Holocaust deniers, people are still listening to that, or flat earthers. Remember when flat earthing was a huge thing before? It's fascinating to me how so much has changed that he couldn't have imagined, but yet we still are getting to the same ideas that were posed in this book. What else you got for stock up?
Last one, 4th grade crushes stock up.
Ashley Bunce. What up, Ashley Bunce? Where you at?
That's a great name right there. I like that.
Yeah, I wrote her a love letter in 4th grade.
You might have to present that to the class here.
I found it sometime, and
really?
I actually put it in the memory hole. I burned it. That's what they call that thing in 1984, the memory hole?
Is that what they called it?
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I think so. When he has to, like, after he's doing his job, he's got to throw all this stuff and burn it, you know? It's like the memory hole. I do remember the first line of it. It was, she was moving away, and I had never confessed my feelings. So it was, I like you with an unforgettable passion. That was the first line of the letter. I'll never forget it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow, the kid had the poet skills. And then did you put it in her memory hole? Okay, anyways. I'm out. I'll see you later. Anyways, so, oh yeah. So Winston and Julia, their kind of love or romance plays out kind of like a fourth grade crush. He pretends he hates the girl, and they're making like brief eye contact, and it's like, did she look at me or did she not look at me? Mm-hmm. They're passing love letters. Also, too, like similar to fourth grade, they didn't talk at all, and then you pass a letter to the person, you're like, I love you. And it's like, wow, that was a hard L-bomb real quick, but okay.
Also, he's like, I hate her, and then she slips him a letter that's like, I love you, and he's like, actually, I do kind of love this person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly like, you pretend you hate the girl, but really you love her deep down. I mean, I did the same thing until senior in high school, but that's besides the point, man.
What happened to senior in high school?
I mean, I was the same shy, Did she make eye contact with me? They never did, but in my mind they did. Yeah, I thought it was just a good, interesting, innocent story in the sense that, like, the way that they were reacting to each other or talking to each other in this dark, like, ominous book. There's this, like, innocent love story that kind of grounds the story a little bit.
For sure.
Not except for the one line of when they're, like, making small talk, and she's like, did you like me? Like, when before I passed your love letter? And he was like, funny story. I actually wanted to rape and kill you.
Oh, yeah. That was messed up.
I was like, wait, what? I don't think that would work these days, but that was his cute story of...
Similarly to a fourth graders, like, they just say whatever is on their mind, There's no calculating of what you're going to say. It's just
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I saw you eating only red Skittles, and I thought I hated you because you only ate red Skittles, but actually, I love you because, taste the rainbow.
Is that another...
No, that's not a euphemism. It's actually the slogan for Skittles, our next sponsor, hopefully. My last stock up is the long con. Stock up, yeah. So Mr. Charrington is just wasting away in the antique shop, full of bed bugs, waiting for an unsuspecting outer party member to walk in and commit thought crime. Is that the deal?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I didn't know if he got caught and then everyone's... Because his, like, since
they said he was a thought policeman.
I thought he might be, like, hallucinating those things. Like, he was saying O'Brien the whole time, and he was saying, like, all the people he would just see and recognize. I was like, is this really happening? Or is it... It seems like it's too...
No, Mr. Charrington is real. The whatever they call the camera that looks at you from the wall is really in...
Why do they need like 3 months?
The bedroom. Yeah, they really stacked up the case. But what a tough assignment.
Get some videos done. Yeah. They're like, let's get a couple videos, some content out of these guys. What are they doing in that bed?
It's just such a tough assignment for a member of the thought police. You're in the barracks, you're getting ready. You just got out of Thought Police Academy, and they're ready to give you your assignment. You're like, am I going to the front lines? What am I doing? Am I going to be interrogating people? It's like, all right, Charrington, you're going into the Proles neighborhood. We're going to set you up in this antique shop. You're mostly going to be selling antiques, but if someone from the outer party comes in and tries to rent a room for you, then it's on. And the guy's like 70, so he's just been waiting for years for something like this to happen. It's like McNulty when he gets on the boat in The Wire. It's like the last place he wants to be is the boat. This is what, this gig is. So Mr. Charrington.
He's love of the game. He's retired. He's been deep in Thought Police so for a long time. They're like, hey, man,
this is the cushy gig.
Yeah, this is hey, take it easy. Not going to have to do anything heavy lifting. You'll just, chill at this antique store and catch any of the other bad guys, serve out your time.
Catch any bad guys that happen upon your store in the Proles district and walk in.
He also has got to do a lot of... he was well educated. He's like, I'm going to do my research. He played the role.
Yeah, he's like the bells of St. Clements. He had that thing down. He knew exactly what was going on.
Same with O'Brien. They do a lot of reading and like... They're really up on things for someone that's really anti being up on things.
Well, O'Brien wrote the book. He wrote Goldstein's book with some other party members. So he's intelligent for sure. He knows what's going on. But he'd rather have wine and cheese than go straight at the party.
Talk down, detouring from the plot. I think in a previous episode you mentioned how you don't mind when the author kind of takes you on a little side quests and so to speak, and talks about all the research they've done. Like in Moby Dick, you mentioned how they were just basically talking about every whale for 2 hours.
That wasn't a good part of Moby Dick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you're talking, this is the Moby Dick effect.
They're like, I did a shitload of research. I'm going to make sure you know that I did a lot of research. He did the same thing. What's that really popular book that Tom Hanks played a movie of? Angels and Demons guy?
Dan Brown.
He would do that every other chapter. He'd be like, it'd be a chapter and it was just talking down to you. Or at least that's how I read it. He was like, what do you know that the Catholic Church did this? And it would be like a full chapter of just like stuff. I'm like, get me back to the story. I don't give a shit about
I like
this.
that stuff. I like the history.
I hated that. Well, it was just more, it was like the tone.
Yeah, you felt like he was like, hey, Keith, idiot. CD student, listen up. Test will be on this. How's your test taking?
Yeah, so that was annoying to me, but that's a stock down because, yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. And I mean, what I assume happened in this was that he wrote an essay about a society that is made up with thought police, all these different things. And he wrote this whole thing out, which is the book that Winston acquires. And then he was like, shit, I can't really release this as an actual book. Let me write a book and a story around
the book about
this
the
principle. Book. And then use that because it seems like all that stuff was intertwined into the plot. And then we get to the book part. And it just repeats all the stuff we already know. It's like super redundant. It's long. It didn't really add anything. I mean, it was, again, if I didn't read any other part of the book, fine. Yeah, it'd be interesting. But I almost think it'd be better if they just cut that 50 pages out of the book because it was just didn't really add anything. It was again, just super redundant. So I don't really understand the point of it. So
you're saying
get that shit out of here.
You're not down for a copy of The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism.
You want to throw that in the addendum? You want to throw it as like you had read the book that Winston got. This is what it would look like. Fine. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But it didn't make any sense in the story.
Agree and not disagree, but it was in my hates that chapter of the book because it was boring for the most part. It started out like, oh, okay, world building, this is fun. Now we get some history of the party to some degree. But then I realized shortly therein that the book was so well written up until that point, and we are coming from it from, our own mindset, which is that, oh, this is a fucked up society. All this stuff was assumed. A lot of the stuff in here that they had in The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism, we've been able to already come to those conclusions based on... Or they've
directly said it.
Or, yeah, they beat around it. I don't know if some of it wasn't necessarily directly said, but the idea of we keep the proles down with booze and porn and we don't really care about them, but here's that you can figure out just by reading the first half of the book. We got there. We've
talked about how we like world building, and a lot of books were like, hey, it would be great if they did a whole chapter on, here's what you need to know to set the table of everything. But the problem is we just had the table set for us. We got the silverware on the right side of the plates. Everything's good. Napkins set up, and then they're like coming through and redoing everything. I'm like, we already know this. We already have the table set. Good analogy.
Do you eat from the outside in or the inside out? There's 8 spoons. Where do you go? And then there's a spoon at the top. What's that spoon for?
I remember when I was...
Dessert spoon.
10 or 11, I would always... My parents said, this is how you eat. This is how you set the table. Yeah. And it had to be done every time. And I always said, why is it done like this? And they're like, well, that's just the way it is. And I really... really made me upset. If someone just said, pick up the fork with your left hand, so you want it on your left hand all the time. Most people are left or righty, right?
I was like, wow, who picks up? Yeah, okay.
So the fork's on the left, nice on the right. Yeah. So the reason that people do that is logistically, it's just the easier thing to do. I'd be like, oh, okay. That makes sense to me.
There's a whole, actually, I went down an Instagram. I think my brother-in-law might have sent to me. I don't know. There's a whole guy who explains this stuff on Instagram that's actually fascinating for, if you're getting down into a thought hole or whatever the case is, whatever they call it, the kids call it these days. But explains why we as Americans cut our food differently than they do in the UK, because we will often put our knife down in between eating, and then in Europe they don't. But yeah, the knife will be on the right or whatever. I don't know. My mom was the same way. When we were kids, it was you have to set the table correctly. I wonder if it was a time thing. I wonder if people do that now.
I'm more of a logistics person. You know what I mean? I don't get it why it matters.
You're still eating with plastic silverware, so what do you care, right?
I eat with my hands, kid.
My first stock down was Gen Alpha speak.
Who's Gen Alpha?
Gen Alpha is the new people, right? All the kids,
I don't know.
kids these days.
I don't like labeling people, but go on.
So I pretty much feel like Newspeak, an anti-language whose purpose is to limit speech and understanding instead of to enhance and expand it. I feel like that's pretty much what Gen Alpha speak is. You know, the thing I was looking for, the word I was looking for earlier was brain rot. You know, if you're going to go down the brain rot of looking up Instagram stuff. But there's tons of new slang that has come out, and maybe I'm just like old man yelling at the clouds, that just makes no sense. Like Riz, which is short for charisma. It's like, oh, that guy's got Riz. There's a billion words that you could use in the English language. See, that's your problem. You're into the Newspeak. You know, that's your thing.
What would you say? Would you be like, man, that gentleman over there has quite the charisma? You'd say he has game, which is the same.
I would say,
what would you say?
Yeah, he's got some charismatic energy. Absolutely. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say that gentleman over there has Riz.
Would you say he's got big dick energy?
Yeah. I'd say he's got that BDE. Are you familiar with much of this?
I've heard one recently. Someone said, oh, yeah, I was looking real snatched in that picture or something like that, which means like cut or something. All right. I didn't hate it. Listen, I'll jump on board if it makes sense. I don't like when people say insults that encompass everything that they don't have a word for. Like when people say, oh, he's a cuck. I really do not like it because it's just like, use your words. What does that mean? It doesn't mean you're not using the word for the real way.
Yes, that's what we're saying. That's Newspeak.
Snatch is like a specific thing. It means like you're, I guess, looking good in a picture. It's like looking like cut, essentially.
Yeah. So does that like come from doing like a snatch, like an Olympic lift?
I don't know a reason for it, but it's an interesting lingo. I don't like it when you just use one word because you don't know how to use other words.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like they say, if to describe something weird, cringe, or bad, you just say it's Ohio. That's Gen Alpha.
That's kind of funny. All right.
Or skibbity.
That's pretty good.
Skibbity, derived from skibbity toilet, it can mean bad, cool, or just be an intensifier. So it literally can mean everything. It is Newspeak.
That one's over my head a little bit.
Yeah, so there you go.
Skibbity doodah?
It's all sus. It's all sus. All right, these people are Delulu. I'm crashing out.
Delulu. All right, I respect it. Crashing out's good too. I'll take it. Listen, I'll jump on board. This is like new technology, kid. Are you gonna be the person that's like, I'm not using any of the new technology? We have the DVD player, and it works. We're not using anything else.
No, I like to pick and choose. I think some are fine. I'm just kidding.
And also, as a new dad, you have to be using these to make your daughter feel super cringe and want to crash out. So you gotta start picking them up. Come on, kid.
She says bird and listens to Raffi. Like she's she's not
Is that
talking
a musician who has these?
Raffi's a children's folk singer. He's amazing. But yeah, she's not talking about skibbity toilet or talking about other people's gyats.
Gat's a gun. Right?
No, that's a gat. A gyat is a big butt.
Oh, okay.
It's short for gyat damn.
Wow, okay. I don't know.
Get hit.
If you explain it, then I like it.
Yeah. What else do you have for Stockdown?
That was it.
Stockdown, following the rules, Stockdown. So, the other party members, these people are always following the rules. Like, they won't even think things. They're literally thought crimes, so they won't even do it. It's pretty crazy, because then you go to the Ministry of Truth, or excuse me, you go to the Ministry of Love, and you get hated on, which is, the double talk right there, or double speak, whatever it is. Our guy, Tom Parsons, Winston's neighbor, is the ultimate rule follower. The guy's an absolute Nimrod, but
What is this Alpha Gen Nimrod talk? What is that?
I think Nimrod was a captain of a ship.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Look it up. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he then became... Or maybe it's from a book, and he was like the captain of a ship there, and then it became a thing. I don't know how it became whatever
the
it became.
Son of Cush, and thus the great grandson of Noah. Nimrod was described as the king of the land. I don't know. I'm guessing he's not a good
Biblical.
dude then. Yeah.
I don't know. Right. There we go. Biblical. So Tom follows all the rules, but at the end of the day, he ends up talking bad about Big Brother in his sleep, and his kid turns him into the thought police, and he has to go to room 101. Even if you follow all the rules, you close your eyes for 2 seconds, and your kids turn you into the police.
That was made up, right? Like, his kid just wanted to turn him in for anything, right? Probably didn't, give him candy or something, and it was like, all right, I'm going to make up that he talked into sleep then.
Yeah, it was like some Nazi youth type stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, probably. Either way, I feel bad for Tom, because then Tom gets, to Ministry of Love, and he's like, "Oh, I hope they don't kill me. Like, if they gave me hard labor, I'd be a great laborer for the cause. I'd be doing great for the cause."
I mean, but he's having the best life of all time. He's like, I'm proud of my kids. They really gonna grow up
exactly.
right. So like, I would
You,
love to have
back
that
to your
mentality.
earlier thing about ignorance being
not?
bliss. He's so ingrained into the party that he's down. So yeah, but at the same time, don't follow the rules, because it didn't work well for Tom.
Which is right in line with I actually just heard "Testify" by Rage Against the Machine right after I read this book. You know that song?
I'm familiar with the song, not necessarily the message.
Those who are, what's it goes? All right, the lyric is, those who control the past control the future. Those who control the future control the past.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like out of 1984.
They just fucking stole it right from the book. Their whole thing is just they copy things now? Like, Rage Against the Machine. What are we doing here? I didn't know you guys were stealing.
Yeah,
so, questionable. So I'm down Rage Against the Machine.
You're raging against Rage Against the Machine?
Yeah, they didn't make it. They got to change the lyrics a little bit. Come up with your own call here.
My last one was us and everyone else always saying the book is better. And I think we talked about this, or you talked about it for the Project Hail Mary movie. But I did go back and watch the 1984 movie with John Hurt, which came out in, drumroll please, 1984. And it was great. The movie was great. It was exactly like the book. They did a very good job, got everything. They missed a couple of things. Like, classically, you have to compress a book into a movie form. It's like an under 2-hour movie. But for the most part, all of the beats were hit. All of the big things were played, and the message was exactly the same. High school kids, if you're listening, don't read the book. Just go watch the movie. You could probably get a Keith level B or C on this test. Don't sweat it. So, skibbity, by the way. Did you have a favorite scene in this one?
Let me think about that one. Okay. You go first.
It's not really that kind of a book. Probably when he's talking to the old guy in the bar, the old Prole, and he's just trying to get some simple answers, and the guy's like, I just want to drink a beer. He's basically saying, like, I don't want a liter, I want a pint. I used to be able to get pints, and they only sell liters and half liters. But a half liter is pretty much a pint. So it's like, what do you really care? But then at the end of the day, he's like, I don't want the liter. And then he's like, can I buy you another beer? And he's like, absolutely.
Wait, I thought that guy had CTE. I thought that was the whole point.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It was almost a comedy moment within this story. We already have our, teenage love thing going on, and then the oppressive nature of the entire government and whatnot. And then this was just an interlude where he's trying to get a straight answer from this guy, and he can't. And I laughed. And it's not in the movie, so that maybe plays for the book is better.
But one of the only scenes I remember the ending, and I remember specifically, I don't know why, but him eating at lunch with his friend, quote unquote friend, and his friend being like, yeah, one day we're going to have like one word that encompasses every single possible thing.
The guy that's working on the Newspeak dictionary, volume 10 or whatever.
Simi, is that his name? S-Y-M-E?
Something like that.
I remember Winston just in his mind is like, oh, this guy's going to die pretty soon. He's going to be killed because he's way too smart for like, he's way too into things, which I always thought was funny. Is like, you basically just need to be right down the middle. Otherwise, you're going to be killed. You can't be too smart. You can't be too, rebellious. You got to be just do the party line. And even then, you can still get reported by your children. So, yeah, tough life.
Yeah, he was too smart for his own good, for sure.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, yeah, this is how Newspeak works. Volume 11. Now you're unpersoned. Sorry.
He didn't have that Riz,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Indeed, he was no Sigma. Love, hate. What'd you love about 1984?
So this is the second time reading I mentioned. I think the first time I was a little disappointed because I was so used to I was really big into dystopian, mindset at the time. And then I was like, oh, this isn't as...
Like you read a bunch of dystopian books and this was one of them.
But this is like what most of them are based off of. And the second time reading, I appreciated it way, way more, I think. I think it should be required reading for every high schooler.
Oh.
I think, 100%. I think we need to start teaching our students that the government is a necessary evil. It's not something you root for. It's not something you should be patting on the back. It should be a general skepticism about people in power is very healthy and should be obvious. And that's what these like kind of books do. Oh yeah, you shouldn't just trust everything they say, and you shouldn't be rooting for them. If they do a good job, great. That's good. That's what they should do. Mm-hmm. There should be no pat in the backs. It should be, that is your job. You did your job. Good. I'm not rooting for you. I'm not like going out and the whole idea of giving money to politicians is so mind-boggling to me. Can you imagine someone being like, I have billions of dollars or $100 million and I need you to give me your money so I can go change things to help you improve your life? Like, no, you should be spending all your money to get in there and then help me out, not the other way around. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Have billionaires that are taxing people to build stadiums in their cities, saying, oh, it'll increase tourism and you'll get more money. Like trickle-down economics will help you. It's like, what? You're a billionaire. It's like the same idea. Yeah. I mean, we're reading our next book that we're going to do. There's a character in it who has power and leadership thrust upon him that he does not want, who is known as, colloquially, the dog man. And he is the best. That's the leader we need. Those are the types of leaders we need who are like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but I know I have the skill set for it. So fine. Altruistic people, not megalomaniacs who, and I'm not even talking about a specific political person. I think they're all, for the most part, in there. You know,
you shouldn't be rooting for a team. You should be rooting for your country to do well and your neighbors to do well and everyone to do well there. But the people in the government are the last person you should ever be rooting for. And that's why a book like this is what I think is really what's needed in today's age. You shouldn't be fucking rooting for someone. Yeah, general skepticism I think is good. And I liked it a lot more in the second read. Obviously, maybe because I've just become more cynical and hateful in my elder age here. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've talked about it, but the thing I loved about it is just how apropos it is to, how it's stuck around and the things within, although Orwell was, pretty much taking ideas from the Soviet Union and also thinking about how the UK was at the time and seeing like, oh, it's possible that this could happen within a government. And although this is probably more similar to some of the dictatorships around the world that there are and not others, the themes are clear and ever present. And you know how when we talk about, sometimes we're reading books and we're like, I don't know what the themes are, we're just trying to enjoy the story. Like this one, they're very clear, whether it's, the nationalism, the censorship stuff, surveillance, putting people in poverty situations so they can't do anything, and then having inequality so they just look at each other as opposed to looking at who put them there. And like I said, with the surveillance stuff, it's like now you talk about surveillance, it's crazy. Here it's just like, oh, the houses have telescreens that, they can be watched or listened at any time. I remember it was like 10 or 15 years ago, I don't even know, that it came out that the government just had like everyone's internet history and was just holding on to it. I was like, wait, what? Like you can do that? And now we all have these devices in our hands. And I'm driving on the road the other day and Waze is telling me that there's a camera that's telling me if I'm speeding or not up ahead. It's like, what the hell? Just let me speed. It used to have to be a person that told me I was speeding or not. So it's just kind of interesting how it's gone. And although there's not like thought monitoring necessarily, you can really monitor and change people's feelings based on how they're getting social media, really.
Well, you ask someone like a general question about society today, they'll have an opinion. Why? Someone will be like, oh, what do you think of the new like tax stuff? And I'm like, I'm not smart enough to know. Why would I should have an opinion? But I've heard 100 people give opinions on it. And I'm like, what the hell? You know what I mean? I'm using tax stuff but you could, any hot button topic is more what I'm trying to say is like, someone will have an opinion on it.
Yeah, and also just the Cambridge Analytica
stuff. Proletarian, stay in your place. I mean, what?
The Cambridge Analytica stuff that happened with Facebook, where basically you get put into these. I mean, not only does it you get bots or Russian people coming in and trying to change people's ideas, but you just get put into these echo chambers within social media that just whatever you started looking into is now just pounded over and over again into you, that you can't look at anything from another side, and we all just inner fight, as opposed to looking up at the top and say, wait, who's making us do this? So yeah, it really resonated for sure. I'm not sure I loved it as much as you did, but definitely resonated.
I also liked the narrators at times. I don't know if you caught this, but it sounded like the Great British Bake Off narrators. They're like very pleasant about the whole thing. You know, the Great British Bake Off, it's like...
I sure do.
Paul's making his famous 7-layered chocolate cake. And then the same narrator would be
Based
like...
off his grandmother's cottage in Surrey.
It'd be like, Big Brother knows all and is watching all of us. And I was like, oh, nice. Wait a second. What the hell? So I was kind of like lulled into it because it was the same narrator voice. It was like, oh, very pleasant British accent. Okay.
With her famous blackberry jam and a squish biscuit.
I remember also thinking the torture scene was like 5 pages. But like, I'm like, oh, we're finally getting to like the torture at the end, you know. See, It was like 3 hours. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't remember this being this long.
It's a lot of torture.
Yeah.
A lot of torture going on. Yeah, I thought it was a nice quick read. I don't even remember how long it was, but I think
it was like 12 hours.
Yeah,
so
it felt like I blew through it. And good pacing, you know, everything, even towards the end, like you said, the torture scene was long. It culminated pretty well. And then, yeah, I think, you know, I definitely had questions as like, oh, is he going to betray Julia or not? You know, what's going to happen at the end? Because, you know, they're doing the whole 2+2 thing, and that dragged on, but in a good way, where it was like, is he ever going to say like 5? And then he's asking him like, are you saying 5 because you want me to believe it's 5, or do you actually believe it's 5? He's like, oh my God, it's just, they really mess with your head. It was wonderful. And then ultimately he does betray Julia when he sees her again. You know, she says she betrayed him, and because, you know, originally it was like their love is more than that, is more than the society, but you know, it'll beat you down, man. It'll beat you down. So yeah. What about hates? Would you hate about 1984?
I already mentioned get rid of the essay. I think you make this book 6 hours, 7 hours, and easy peasy. I mean, I think it's one of those books you should reread, you know, every couple of years. I also thought there might have been some. Tell me if I'm out there with this, but I think there's some, I don't know if it's allegory, but there's some romantic relationship between him and O'Brien. You could read into it of, hey, this is what it'd be like having a gay relationship in the 1930s or 40s, because he's like secretly loves O'Brien the whole book for some reason. I have no idea why. So I was like, is that some sort of allegory to that, where if you love someone and then they turn you in and then you get fucked over and O'Brien's really the bad guy? You know what I'm saying? No? Crazy?
Yeah, I don't know if I read it like that. I could see.
Well, O'Brien was like whispering him in the dark, being like, "Meet me in the place." I'm like, I don't get why that would happen. That doesn't make any sense.
He's just waiting for somebody. Like, you know, Winston is so into the doldrums, but he's having these ideas. You know, he's getting a journal to actively protest in his own way against the society, and he's just waiting for a glimpse of someone else who's there with him. So when O'Brien gives it to him, he clings on to that with everything he has. He probably knows, and I think O'Brien says to him, like, you knew from the jump what I was. And that's probably true, but he just needed somebody else to make physical contact with who was on board with him, that
so O'Brien
this society's messed up.
Rebellion, essentially. So he would have loved anyone. It was just O'Brien showed a crack of it, and he was like,
yeah.
oh, okay, he's the best person ever. I love him, everything. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And also because O'Brien was so ingrained in the party that, it's such an idea that, okay, wow, if he's such a strong party member, then there has to be lots of these other people like me. And yeah, there are, but at the same time, they're getting absolutely tortured in room 101 or whatever the case is. So
I looked up too. I was like, am I crazy? And I looked up, and my first note was, because O'Brien tortures him, Winston perversely comes to love O'Brien. I was like, oh, what the hell? All right, maybe there's something to it. I don't know.
Yeah, a little Stockholm syndrome kind of thing.
I guess so. Yeah. Sure. So.
Yeah, my only other hate was just him reading from Goldstein's book. It was like, I didn't need all of it.
We're on the same page there.
So. Quick listener mail / Goodreads review of the week comes from Cass from Goodreads. And she writes, my favorite part was when Winston was reading the book to Julia and she fell asleep. 1 star. Thanks, Cass. Appreciate you.
Okay. Okay.
It's always good to have a laugh.
I had a question too for you.
Oh, good. No, I had lingering questions, so that's what I was going to get into. So please, fire it up. What do you got?
Oh, my only one that I had left over was they described someone as having a benevolent nose. What would that exactly mean? What does that mean?
Well, to start off, we have to define
benevolent?
nose. Oh, yeah, benevolent. Yeah.
A good nose, right? Is that what it means? A well-meaning nose? Yeah, well-meaning, kindly, charitable nose? Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
That is definitely a benevolent nose. So it was red and bulbous. He's got a gin blossom on his nose.
Altruistic.
Yeah.
Magnanimous. Okay.
See? Whoa, stop putting all these other words out there. You're gonna
Riz nose? Is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. Now we're talking. His nose was Sigma. He's got that Sigma nose.
Wait, what is Sigma? You didn't explain that one.
It's like the lone wolf leader person. I would think that would be Alpha, but it is indeed like the leader is the Sigma. A lone wolf leader, cool, successful, or popular. So yeah, I don't know where that came from. Okay, do you think Big Brother exists, Keith?
No.
No. You think?
Yeah, I think didn't he ask O'Brien
they didn't
that?
say.
I thought they asked O'Brien, and O'Brien says he exists just as much as like you and I exist, or like the ideas of us exist, or something.
No, I thought he said like he does exist, and he was like, or exists as much as you, and then he was like, he was like, but you don't exist, or I don't even know. But it wasn't clear. It was not clear whether Big Brother existed or not.
I thought he existed at some point, and then he would live on forever, type thing.
Yeah, could be that someone initially started, but the society isn't that old, right? Or maybe it is. It's like a generation old. Well, not like a lifetime old. Yeah, I feel like there's probably a group of people who are running this whole thing or whatnot, and they use Big Brother as a figurehead, but isn't actually a real person. Similar to Goldstein. Like maybe there was someone who there's like the Brotherhood doesn't even necessarily exist, but maybe they have the fact that they had video of Winston and Julia in the forest bumping uglies. How could some underground group, how were they able to survive if they legitimately have cameras everywhere? They had it in the flat. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's all just made up for the people. Winston gets rat torture. That's his biggest fear. What would your torture be?
I think I told you the worst way to die thing. They just put me in an airplane and it crashes, and then I light on fire, and then I drown. I'm in the bathroom while this happens, by the way. I've told you that. Right?
Oh, you're in the airplane bathroom?
I'm in the airplane bathroom. It starts going down, crashes into water. The plane lights on fire. I start burning alive, and then I'm only saved by the water, which then cools me off. I'm still dying from the fire, but then I drown in the water and die. Everyone else is fine, and they're embarrassed, pointing at me, looking at me like, look at this guy. So that's mine. What about you?
Everyone else is fine.
Yeah, everyone else is like, remember how embarrassing that guy was when he died too? You're crying. It was pretty pathetic.
So yeah, it's fear.
There's shit all over me. Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Flammable. Yeah, it's fear. It's torture from the poo, and then it's pain from the fire, death from the drowning, and shame from all the other passengers who survived. Fine, no problem, not a scratch. Who were just staring at you.
They just go on to tell everyone how pathetic it was. Yeah.
You died bad. Covered in shit.
Yeah. He could have easily escaped, too. It was pretty embarrassing.
Oh, my God, I'm crying. That's amazing. I don't know. Torture, Winston, the rat torture.
Come on.
It's my question. I could have thought of something on the spot, but
you're like that, but add in.
Your thing is killing me. Oh, my God. Because there's so many facets that would be terrible. I think for me it would, and I'm not necessarily like claustrophobic, but the idea of being stuck somewhere would be
like in a bathroom, a porta potty when you're going down in an airplane.
Yeah, exactly. But I think like a buried alive type thing.
Oh yeah,
would be pretty bad, especially if you then add the rats to it. Like they put you in a coffin like with some rats. Oh no. Actually, that's it. It's snakes. It's
buried
snakes
alive
in a
with snakes.
coffin.
You and Indiana Jones?
Yeah, exactly. Me and Indy Jones. We share a lot of things. We're both Sigmas. And, but buried alive with snakes, that would be mine, for sure. All right. We didn't talk a lot about like INSOC. We don't really care about that. We did talk about Thought Police, Thought Crime Watch. Yeah. The other thing that we didn't talk about for love is just talk about aging well. It's this whole thing. Like people say Orwellian, when they're describing 1984, and things like doublespeak or doublethink or they Newspeak. They'll say those kind of things in like it's in the vernacular. It's hung on. They made a show called Big Brother, which is just a bunch of people. It's a reality TV show. A bunch of people living in a fake house with cameras watching them all the time. All right, Keith. 1984. What do you give it, and who's it for?
I already said it should be a required reading for high school students.
So it's for everyone in the world.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. 4.25. First time I read it was probably like a 3, and this time I really appreciated it.
4.25.
I liked it a lot. I think again, it's kind of like watching The Godfather. If I like The Godfather, it like sets you up for every other crime and mob movie, it's going to take from it. And so it sets the groundwork for every dystopian, and I love dystopian stuff. So I'm going to stick with that. What about you?
Before I give mine, I do want to quickly touch back on Brave New World versus 1984, because the ideas were the same, but they came at it from opposite angles, where 1984 is more of like boot to the face, torture to get complicity and to keep people in line, where Brave New World was like drugs and, basically distraction from whatever's going on, that you could have power and complicity and subjugation through kind of just making people dope sick. What do you think is more realistic?
I think both of them exist in the world today already.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I think in today's age, the Brave New World is the move. Is just keep everyone distracted and angry at each other, and it's much easier than it is to. I guess North Korea does the whole torture you in 1984 mindset, but everyone's aware of how bad North Korea is, I think. But you can kind of get away with being bad in the new Brave New World type methodology. So
I think it's better for the long haul. Just feed people their social media algorithms and all the things you can watch on TV, and just fast food that gets you fat but makes you happy, and all the sugars and stuff, and the
Matrix.
No one
the Matrix already talked about this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think for any sort of like totalitarian or dictatorship, definitely the 1984 seems to be working, but for all of the other democratic or whatever countries, you go straight Brave New World, and you keep people just trying to buy their new truck and they're happy.
Bread and circus, like I said.
For me, I give it a 3.75. I thought it was good for sure. I agree with you. I would encourage many young people to read it, or just watch the movie. But to read it, just to get some ideas. Also, if you haven't gone down the whole dystopian thing like we have, it's not entertaining like Katniss Everdeen kind of thing, that book, but it's what set the stage, like you said. So 3.75. It's for everyone. I think everyone should read it. All right, that was 1984. Keith, what do we have coming up next?
Well, we are going to finish the Joe Abercrombie series, the First Law series, I believe it's called. Those are our books.
Yeah, First Law trilogy. It's Before They Were Hanged.
And then Last Argument of Kings. We'll have Before They Were Hanged coming up next. And then we'll finish it out with the Last Argument of Kings. Yeah, we're doing a trilogy. It's happening again. So and we're back to sword and sandals, or sword and sorcery, whatever they call it, back in the wheelhouse. Giddy up.
All right, we'll catch you for that. Bye now.
All right, bye now.